This lesson is about starting sentences with but. Let's look at this sentence. But due to the weather, the football game was canceled. Did you hear the comma? I put a comma every time I hear a pause. But due to the weather, the football game was canceled. Right there is the pause, and I stop there. The first part, due to the weather, is an incomplete sentence. Another way of saying that is a dependent clause. Because if it can't stand by itself. If I wrote a sentence like this, but due to the weather, and I put a full stop at the end, you're going to say, wait, what do you mean because of the weather? There's nothing more. So that's why we need something that follows it. The football game was canceled. That's a complete sentence. We call that the independent clause. It can stand by itself. So we have an independent clause or a sentence that's incomplete starting with but, followed by a comma because you hear the pause. Then it needs this part, the complete sentence or the independent clause. So that's the pattern. Dependent clause, comma, independent clause. But due to the weather, this part needs this part. The football game was canceled. Let's see if you can switch it around using basically the same words. Can you do that? Let's pause the video. This is what I have. The football game was canceled, but due to the weather. Does that make sense? So what do you need to change? I change it like this. The football game was canceled due to the weather. So sentences like this, when you want to change them, you get rid of the but and you get rid of the comma. Now let's look at these sentences together again. Can you compare them and notice what's the difference between them? This is what I notice. I notice that a but incomplete sentence starts. That's the reason, comma, and a complete sentence. And the second part is the complete sentence in the beginning, followed by a reason. The football game was canceled due to the weather. No comma, because you don't hear any pause. Comma, because you hear the pause. Let's do another sentence. But without their IDs, they couldn't get through the gate. Notice that I put a comma here because I heard the pause. Let's see if you could switch it around. How would you have done it? Pause the video. They couldn't get through the gate without their IDs. So we took out the but, and we switched it around, and it makes sense the same. This is your time to practice. I've given you topics here. I've given you basically a sentence starter, but you have to start each one with but, find where the comma goes, and then finish the sentence that connects to pets, and write it here. So, but because the leash broke, comma, something about the pets. Show your teacher, and then they will let you know if you should need more practice or if you should go and work on writing comma buts in the beginning of your sentence.